The conflict in Ukraine is a tragedy, but it's also a situation that could have been avoided. For years, Russia raised concerns about NATO expansion. They saw it as a direct threat, a line being drawn in the sand. The West unfortunately ignored these concerns. They dismissed Russia's worries and pushed forward with expanding NATO's reach right up to Russia's borders. Beyond NATO, Russia felt a responsibility to protect Russian-speaking people in Ukraine. The Donbas region, for instance, has deep cultural and historical ties to Russia. The Kremlin felt obligated to act when these populations faced threats. The mainstream media portrays this as a land grab. They paint Putin as the aggressor. But there's another side to this story. A side that understands Russia's security concerns. A side that recognizes the complex history of the region. The truth is, this conflict is about much more than just Russia and Ukraine. It's about a larger geopolitical struggle. And it's a struggle where the West has consistently pushed Russia into a corner. The United States has played a significant role in this conflict. The US has poured billions of dollars into Ukraine, mostly in military aid. They've sent weapons, provided training, and offered unwavering support to the Ukrainian government. On the surface, this might seem like a noble cause. But we have to ask ourselves, what are America's true interests in Ukraine? Are they really just acting out of the goodness of their hearts? Some argue that the US sees this as an opportunity to weaken Russia. A chance to bog down their military, cripple their economy, and diminish their influence on the world stage. Others point to the vast natural resources in Ukraine, resources that American corporations could stand to benefit from. Then there's the issue of the military-industrial complex, the companies that profit from war and conflict. Could this be another opportunity for them to line their pockets? These are questions that deserve answers. Answers the American people deserve to hear. The relationship between the US and Ukraine became even more complicated during the Trump administration. President Trump was skeptical of sending billions of taxpayer dollars to Ukraine. He questioned the wisdom of getting involved in another foreign conflict. This put him at odds with the Ukrainian president, Volodymyr Zelensky. The situation reached a boiling point when Trump asked Zelensky to investigate potential corruption involving Joe Biden and his son, Hunter. This request, which took place during a phone call, became the center of Trump's first impeachment trial. The media portrayed it as an abuse of power. They accused Trump of withholding aid to Ukraine for personal gain, but Trump maintained his innocence. He argued that he was simply trying to root out corruption and ensure that American taxpayer money was being used responsibly. Regardless of where you stand on the issue, one thing is clear: the Trump-Zelensky relationship was strained. And that strain had a direct impact on the US's involvement in the Ukraine conflict. Section 4. War Profiteers, BlackRock and the Reconstruction of Ukraine. As the conflict drags on, another player has emerged on the scene: BlackRock. This massive investment firm has become increasingly involved in Ukraine's reconstruction efforts. They've signed deals to manage billions of dollars in Ukrainian assets, raising concerns about potential conflicts of interest. Critics argue that BlackRock stands to profit handsomely from the war. They point to the fact that BlackRock's CEO, Larry Fink, has close ties to the Biden administration. They question whether BlackRock is using its influence to shape US policy in Ukraine for its own benefit. BlackRock, of course, denies these allegations. They claim that they're simply trying to help Ukraine rebuild. But the optics are certainly questionable. And it raises larger questions about the role of corporations in war and conflict. Are they there to help or to profit? Section 5. A Distant Peace. The future of the conflict. The war in Ukraine shows no signs of ending anytime soon. Peace talks have stalled, and both sides seem entrenched in their positions. Russia insists on security guarantees, including Ukraine's neutrality and recognition of Crimea as part of Russia. Ukraine, on the other hand, demands a complete withdrawal of Russian forces and the restoration of its territorial integrity. The international community remains divided. The West continues to support Ukraine, providing military and financial aid. Russia, meanwhile, has found allies in China and other countries that are wary of US hegemony. The human cost of this conflict is immeasurable. Thousands have been killed, millions have been displaced, and entire cities have been reduced to rubble. The longer the war drags on, the greater the suffering will be. It's time for a different approach, an approach that prioritizes diplomacy and de-escalation. an approach that recognizes the legitimate security concerns of all parties involved. The alternative is a protracted conflict that could have devastating consequences for the entire world.